Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at The Road Less Traveled, Sarah's journey to redemption. And it's a pretty amazing story. We're going to follow Sarah from, well, her early years as a quote-unquote model student, all the way through some really tough times, hitting rock bottom, as they say, and then ultimately finding incredible resilience and purpose. Have you ever felt trapped by expectations? Well, if so, Sarah's story might just hit close to home.
What's really interesting to me about this story is how it kind of challenges this whole idea of the perfect life. When we first kind of enter Sarah's world, it's easy to see how someone can feel pressured to conform. Especially growing up in a small town, everybody knows your name. Everybody expects certain things from you. That was Sarah's reality. Straight A's, never even snuck out past curfew. Really the quintessential good girl, just living seemingly charmed life.
It does sound idyllic, but the text hints that maybe things weren't so simple. Beneath the surface, at least, there's this sense that Sarah was living someone else's dream, following a path that was laid out for her instead of forging her own.
Exactly. And that's where things start to kind of go in a different direction. It's not just this one big dramatic event that sends Sarah spiraling. The book really lays it out in detail. You see all these small choices, almost like these little cracks in her facade, gradually accumulating and gaining momentum. It's like this snowball effect.
So we see her, getting into a toxic relationship, struggling with addiction, these issues that often carry so much stigma.
Absolutely. And the book doesn't shy away from the emotional impact of this downward spiral. You really feel Sarah's pain as she watches her future slipping away, all those plans she had crumbling, that feeling of losing control. I mean, can you relate to that at all?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty universal fear. And this book, it really captures the intensity of that experience. By age 26, Sarah hits rock bottom, jobless, homeless, heartbroken, estranged from her family. It's a really stark depiction of how far things can unravel.
And then we get to this pivotal scene on the bridge. Sarah's standing there at the precipice, contemplating, ending it all.
Yeah.
But even in that moment of utter despair, there's this flicker of hope, this inner voice urging her to choose life.
It's like she's clinging to a lifeline. And the fact that she listens to that voice, that she chooses to fight, that's what makes her story so powerful. It reminds us that even when all seems lost, there's still a glimmer of possibility.
It's a powerful message of resilience.
Yeah.
And it's at this point that Sarah decides to check into rehab. But rehab is just the first step on a long and arduous journey.
It's not a quick fix, right? It's the beginning of a really, really grueling process. The book doesn't sugarcoat it at all. You see those intense challenges of withdrawal, that mental battle against self-doubt, the sheer willpower it took to keep going. Exactly. It's portrayed very realistically. But it's within this challenging environment that Sarah starts developing these crucial tools for recovery. Meditation, for example. That helped her to quiet her thoughts and reconnect with herself.
And then there's journaling, which becomes a central part of her healing. I thought it was really fascinating how the text describes Sarah using writing, not just to document her experiences, but as a way to confront her past.
Yeah. Through writing, Sarah starts processing all that trauma and pain that she had buried deep inside. She writes about her childhood, her relationships, all the things that contributed to her addiction. And through that process, journaling becomes this form of release, a way to make peace with the past and create space for healing.
The book shares this really powerful quote from Sarah's journal. She says, "By putting the pain into words, I'm taking away its power over me."
Oh.
I mean, that's pretty profound. It is. And as Sarah keeps diving deeper into her inner world, we start to see these small victories emerge. She earns her GED, which is a huge accomplishment, and that boosts her confidence. Then she starts taking some online college courses, rekindling this thirst for knowledge. That had been dormant for years.
It's like each accomplishment, no matter how small, it chips away at that wall of self-doubt, replacing it with belief in her own capabilities.
That's such a crucial point. The book really emphasizes how these seemingly insignificant steps build this foundation for lasting change. It's not about grand gestures. It's about that daily commitment to showing up for yourself, even when it's hard.
And that commitment really takes on a whole new meaning when Sarah decides to return home. It's not this triumphant return like, I've made it. It's more, nuanced and relatable.
What's so interesting is that she doesn't try to erase her past. She goes back to the very place where she experienced all that pain and chooses to rebuild her life there. That takes a lot of courage.
It does. And the way she goes about it is interesting, too. She doesn't jump back into her old life. She gets a job at a local bookstore. Almost symbolic, don't you think?
I think it's a really important step in her healing.
Yeah.
The bookstore becomes this haven for her, this quiet space where she can reconnect with her love of literature and gain some stability.
And it's not just about her own healing either. The book talks about how she decides to start a support group for people struggling with addiction.
That's a powerful choice, to turn around and use her experience to help others.
And what's really striking is that she doesn't present herself as this expert with all the answers. She's very open about the fact that she's still on her own journey.
Exactly. She's not preaching, she's walking alongside them, offering support
Yeah.
based on what she's gone through.
The book even quotes one of the support group members as saying, "Sarah's honesty made me feel seen for the first time. I realized I wasn't alone."
Wow. That must have been incredible for Sarah to hear.
And then we have this amazing moment when Sarah receives a scholarship. This is more than just money. It's a chance for her to pursue her childhood dream of becoming a writer.
It's like everything's coming full circle. That passion that was always there, now it's reemerging, stronger than ever.
And the text really emphasizes how Sarah just seizes this opportunity. It describes her as having this insatiable thirst for knowledge, dedicating herself to her studies with this newfound sense of purpose.
And all that hard work pays off. She graduates with honors and starts publishing articles, sharing her insights with a wider audience.
Her story, which started in such darkness, is now becoming a beacon of hope for others. It's amazing to see her story evolve from this personal struggle to something that resonates with people all over the world.
Yeah, it really speaks to that human experience,
Mm.
facing adversity. And finding the strength to rise above it. Her story isn't just about addiction. It's about the resilience of the human spirit.
And that resilience takes her to an even bigger platform. She becomes a motivational speaker, sharing her message globally. What do you think it is about her story that connects so deeply with people?
I think it's the honesty.
Yeah.
She's so vulnerable. She doesn't try to sugarcoat the challenges she faced. She talks openly about hitting rock bottom and that difficult journey back, that authenticity. It allows people to really connect with her.
The book mentions how people would approach her after her talks, sharing their own stories.
That's like she created this safe space
Yeah.
for people to acknowledge their own struggles.
We've covered a lot, but what really struck me is how Sarah's story changes the definition of success. She didn't just overcome her struggles, she turned them into a source of strength for herself and for others. What do you think? Does this challenge our own ideas about resilience?
I think it does. Sarah's story shows us that. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about facing our challenges, learning from them, and using them to grow.
So for our listeners out there who might be facing their own challenges, what's the key takeaway from Sarah's journey?
It's never too late to change your story. Change is always possible, no matter where you've been or what you've experienced. It might not be easy, but the potential for healing is always there.
That potential is within all of us. Sarah's journey shows us that second chances are real, self-compassion is essential, and human spirit is incredibly resilient. It's a story that will stick with me.
Me too. It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest times, there's always hope.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into The Road Less Traveled, Sarah's journey to redemption. We hope you found it inspiring and maybe even thought-provoking. Maybe it's even sparked a question for you. What's your road less traveled? And are you ready to take the first step? Thanks for joining us.